Hello. I got a really cool song here. It's a little different than what I usually get, which I always enjoy. This song has some augmented chords. It has some major sixth chords. It's really interesting. So it starts off, it's kind of this driving quarter thing, and it starts off, it's in the key of C. It starts off with a 1 chord, and then it goes to a 1 augmented, sharp 5. So you literally take whatever shape you're playing of a C major chord, you could literally take all the G notes in that chord and move them up half a step or 1 fret. So the easiest way that I know to make that is there's C major, it's my G to G sharp, right? C, E, G sharp. If I were playing the 5 up here, I mean, you don't need that many notes for the old aug, but that's a 5-note version of it. I literally took the G in both places and went up a half step. The cool thing about augmented triads, I don't remember where I learned this or if I just noticed it. They're symmetric, meaning they divide the octave up into symmetric intervals. So a symmetric chord, take that as the definition. It's a chord that divides the octave into even intervals, symmetric intervals. So the interval between any 2 degrees of that chord is the same as all the others. So in an augmented chord, it's only 3 notes, and they're all a major third apart. C, major third to E, major third to G sharp. They don't sound like home because there's no note within it that's a root. They're all roots. This is the exact same chord. You could call it an augmented of any note that's in the chord. So this is C augmented. Well, it's also E augmented. It's also G sharp augmented, or A flat augmented. The cool thing about those is you can shift them the distance that each interval is, and it's the same chord. You can shift the shape. So all these notes are major third. It's stacked in major thirds, right? So I can take this shape and go up a major third, and I'm playing the exact same chord. I can go up another major third. I'm still playing the same chord. It's just a different inversion, and you'll notice that it doesn't really. It never sounds like it's at rest or at home. You know, like, I don't know, I guess a major chord shifting through intervals sounds most at rest when it's in root position with the root of the chord in the bass. Well, augmented chords, because they're symmetric, don't really have one root. They're all roots. So it's kind of cool. It's a good way for me to think about it. Let me silence that guy. Because I know where other shapes are just based on the fact that it's symmetric. Any major chord. So we're in C, right? So I can play that shape. Now it's augmented because I raised the 5th. I raised G to G sharp. Well, same thing here. C, E, G sharp. And that just happens to be the exact same shape of C augmented as that is of C augmented. It's literally, and there it is in the next inversion. I took that major triad shape, E, G, C, E, G sharp, C. So it's the same thing there. It's the same shape being slid up 2 whole steps, which is a major third, or 4 frets. So it's also E You can think of it as a modified E major as well. So here's E major. E major is E, G sharp, and B. And in this inversion, I'm playing with the G sharp on the bottom. G sharp, B, E, we'll just raise the B. G sharp, B, E, just raise the B. We're back to our exact same shapes that we were playing for C augmented. E, G sharp, B, raise the B. G sharp, B, E, raise the B. And lastly, it's also G sharp augmented. So, well, I run out of, I can't play the fifth there, so let's say G sharp here. G sharp major, G sharp, B sharp, and harmonically, D sharp. The B sharp is a C, right? So raise the fifth. And we're back to that piece of our same C augmented, E augmented. If we go here, B sharp, D sharp, G sharp, raise the D sharp, that's the fifth. It's now D double sharp, which is E. So that's the one confusing part, is that notes, based on which triad you are naming the notes from, they have different names. It's called inharmonic tones. So like a G sharp major chord. It's also A flat, but if you're thinking of it as G sharp, you wouldn't call its third C, because C is the fourth degree from G. Any C is the fourth degree from any G. So the third of a G, whatever G it is, whether it's G flat, G sharp, G natural, is a B. So it just happens to be B sharp. I hope that's not super confusing. The whole point is that you have a couple shapes that you can slide 2 whole steps or 4 frets and have the exact same chord. And you can create tension by climbing or descending without changing the chord at all. I feel like I'm a little out of tune. Oh yeah. Tuning, it's a big deal. I went out and had some beers with a singer friend of mine who is an incredible singer, and he mentioned how hard it is, how much focus it requires as a vocalist to sing in tune these days. And I feel the exact same way. We were talking about this. So much of what we do, he's a country artist, and his stuff is very, very pop, modern country, kind of edgy with a bit of a rock influence. It's not traditional in any sense, but it's really cool. His music has a lot of synth-based instruments in it. The keyboard player is doing lots of traditional keyboard player stuff like piano and B3, but also some synths, some pulse parts, and those sorts of things are, they're computerized, and the pitch on them is perfect. And, if there's a loop involved, then the grid is perfect. And we were just discussing how you have to be laser focused on your timing and on your pitch. And that's part of the reason why I stress tuning so much on the guitar, because you are, in the modern session scene, you are playing an instrument that inherently cannot be perfectly in tune. And you are playing along with instruments that are inherently perfectly in tune. anything loop based or synth based is going to have, you know, a very perfect sound to it. There are patches that some guys use that are intentionally not perfect. Like a counter example of what I'm talking about would be the slightly out of tune upright piano patch that a lot of session players are using, and that's done with a very intentional thing. It's not just randomly out of tune. It is tempered slightly out to give the vibe of a I don't know, just someone's, like, you get an image of someone's old upright piano in their house that's been in their family for years. Or if the song is more traditionally country, maybe you get a saloon image hearing that. But anyway, yeah, there's another rabbit trail on tuning that I went down. So the song is C major, C major sharp 5, or C augmented to a 4 minor, and it's got a cool melody over the 4. So that's kind of the song. There's another section. The post chorus goes to a true 4, and then it kind of goes to a flat 6, but I think I'm still hearing the 4 in there, so I'm calling that a flat 6 chord. And then that stays 5 sus. So there are notes that kind of hang out through these chord changes that make them less jarring than you might think that they are, like 4 major to 4 minor over flat 6, or flat 6 chord, to 5 sus. Well, the flat 6 chord has that C in it. Here I'm calling this an A flat. Well, in a 4 minor in the key of C, it is A flat. It's not G sharp, because 4 minor is F minor, and the third of an F is always some kind of A. A natural for an F chord, A flat for an F minor. That's the way my brain works, because you're thinking about thirds, so you're going to call it a flat third. You're not going to call it G sharp, because that's a sharp second. A flat is the flat third of F. G sharp is the sharp second of F. And minor chords aren't built on sharp seconds. So that's kind of why all of these notes don't just have one name, because of the way they're built on each scale, each kind of chord. You know, chords are stacked in thirds, and each pitch having exactly one name would kind of mess that system up. I don't know. I am not a music theory major. I took a semester of it in college, and I play an instrument that you can get proficient at without having to learn to read music. And so this is just the way my brain thinks. So I've got a couple guitar tracks on this song already. One of them is just, you know, in the chorus, it is playing quarter notes. The song has a very heavy quarter note vibe to it. It's very piano led. It seems like a throwback, like 90s. It's kind of got a Ben Folds vibe to it. And the request from the producer for me was to add some like rock guitars that are from that era. So that's what I'm trying to do here. So first chorus, I've already got a guy doing that. So this track is basically power chords, root fifth, sharp fifth, 4 minor without the flat third, and back to the 1 chord. And then there is a transition where they go. It goes to a 7. That's a common trick when getting from a 1 to a 4 chord. You instantly turn the 1 into the 5 of the 4 chord, because the 5 of any scale is where your dominant 7th chord is built. When you stack thirds from the 5th note of a major scale, that's what you create, a dominant 7th chord. It's a major triad with a flat 7 or a minor 7th interval. So anytime you play one of those chords, it's really easy to use it to pull to what would be the 4th of that chord, which means it's the 5th of that chord. So I can go from C to its 4, F, by splitting my full bar of C. See how it pulls right to it. You create a voice that leads to the 3rd of the 4 chord. So I'm going 1, 1, 7 to 4, but in the key of F, this is a 5 chord that leads to what would be the 1. But that's another thing, secondary dominance. You use a dominant 7th chord in somewhere other than the 5th of the key you're in to help pull to a chord other than the 1 of the key you're in. So I said something a minute ago that might be kind of confusing. Treating this as the 5 pulls to F as the 1, but we're in the key of C. This is a 1 and a 1/7 that pulls to the 4. That's why it's a secondary dominant, because you're staying in the key of C, but you're making the 1 a 7th chord. Really, the 1's a major 7, because the key of C has a B natural in it. But when you flatten that, again, it leads really nicely. You're using that voice to lead within the chord to lead to the 3rd of the 4 chord. So that's how they get to a 4 major. So the whole song so far up to the chorus has had 4 minors, and throughout that part of the chorus, the previous part of the chorus. But then it so this guitar track, that's really all I have for most of the song. It kind of builds and gets a little more rock and roll toward the end, and so I added another part that is more fuzzed out. Here's that section. One augmented, building on the 4 minor, 1 chord, 1/7, 4 major, 4 major 7, 2 minor, 4 over 1, 4 minor, 5 sus to 5, big chorus. Still got my other guy in there too. And then it just hangs on vibe. Actually, if you can hear that underneath the obnoxiously loud click, there's a pad there. That sounds like a 1/7 chord. But there isn't a big strike on the diamond, so I'm leaving what I have. So I think what's left is to add something that sort of ties the whole track together, maybe some swells or some vibe. And of course I'm going to go to this guy. I think it will be cool. I know it will be cool. Tuning once again. Tune because I care. Tune because I want to get called back. If you ever think, I should probably tune, I'm not going to tune, you're wrong. You should tune. Tuning is a fact of life for guitar players. Tuning is one of the requirements that organizes sound into music. Tempo and tuning. I wonder if I could do something weird on this. I've got some interesting settings on this timeline that I haven't used in a long time. Is that too much? Might be. What about with a low octave? My only concern is I don't know how psychedelic we're trying to get, and then also that's hanging out forever. And these chords change and they're very different from each other. I've got a Pog 2 on low octave. Okay, so what is going on here? I don't know. I feel like it's a little much. Kind of see why I don't use that setting really at all, ever. What about my old reliable one repeat? Or loud first repeat? I feel like that could be shorter and louder. There we go. Let's see. Is this a slide part? I don't know. from the top. And I keep turning on this Boss DM2. I get stuck on things sometimes, and then I have to get sick of it to stop using it. But I really dig this. It's very responsive. How long it hangs out is very responsive to how hard I dig in. And I like having the option of it being sort of expressive in that way. Like, I'm not working a pedal to control the feedback. I'm using my attack to do that. So, let's see what happens here. What if I even put the click back in? I'm going to turn it down because it's so loud, but it is good to have. caught that just now. I'm on the same track that I put that heavier guitar on. I do that so much. But this is a good place to punch in because I'm going to use a completely different sound, and I hope it doesn't overwhelm my delay pedal. Alright, let's see what happens. if they'll use that last spaceship taking off thing, but it's there. There was a little bit of a pad peeking out underneath the end of the song. It wasn't a big hit on the one chord, so maybe just one of my parts keeps going. It does something like that. I wonder if there's also room for like a irreverent teenager soloing over the chorus at the end, breaking more of those rules, right? Where we don't listen to the vocal. Maybe he's off on one side of the stage and he has no clue that someone's trying to sing a chorus. That can be cool, and it can work in a mix where there's kind of a solo-y guy that isn't necessarily in between the phrases of the vocal. That would sound more mature, and I think we're not going for that. So again, they can just mute it if they don't want it, or they can say, hey, I like that idea, would you make it weave around the vocal? Yeah, I can do that. But my inclination is to start with one that does not. So I'm going to go back to a slap back, and so we're at 71 beats per minute. My slap, I have it set at a 16th note. Same chord. So I kind of like that one real loud slap. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to pan my slide guy around quite a bit. Yeah, that's some buzz. It's a jazz master. This is right. Maybe it's classic jazz master in the middle position. Just have the wrong pedal on. Throwback overdrive boost. basically got everything done. Kind of using it for oh yeah, yeah, that's better. Let's see what happens. Then it just fades into that buzz. I'm still not worried about it because it's kind of the world we live in. I mean, I play so many parts on sessions that have such a raging amount of buzz, and as long as I am careful to keep myself muted between takes or to, you know, quickly raise my volume pedal in between phrases when I'm not playing, then it's not a big deal. Because when I'm playing and in the beginning of a note's decay, you don't hear it at all, really. It's just when it dies out, like that died out, and you're left with this. So that can be a problem. Every mix engineer in town, anybody who mixes electric guitars these days, and I say these days because we're in such a wireless world, and these pickups just act like little antenna that that catch all these things flying around. And I don't know, I feel like the buzz thing has gotten progressively worse. But all of these engineers have different plugins that can hone in on that buzz and eliminate it without really changing the guitar tone. So I'm not trying to create more work for people. I'm just trying to give the track that I think is the best for the song without defeating the idea in my own mind before I even try it, because that'll have too much buzz. I can't play that. That'll be too buzzy. They can take care of that. Everybody does. So let's just hear the way this fades out with all the other tracks. I'm going to turn it down so that it's in the mix and not way out front. That's 90% of the work right there when eliminating buzz. You still got quite a bit of it, but if I fade it, let's see here. not even gonna have to do anything. That's great. Cool. So, interesting song. I really like it. I'm gonna see what they say with these tracks. I'm gonna go ahead and send these off. So, yeah, I guess that video turned into a little bit of a music theory lesson. I'm not a professional when it comes to music theory, but that's a bit of how my brain works when I get chords like that. So, hope you all enjoyed it. Have a good one.